has betrayed our national security.
When the U.S. recorded its first coronavirus case on January 20th, the United States was in the midst of another crisis.
The Senate will convene as a court of impeachment.
The impeachment trial against President Donald Trump, something he said was a distraction for the country. But did the political drama also leave the president distracted from leading a response to the COVID-19 outbreak hitting the United States? Trump says he took the virus seriously from the start.
I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called a pandemic. All you had to do is look at other countries.
But his public statements suggest otherwise. In January, as the World Health Organization warned of a global crisis and coronavirus cases in China grew, Trump banned Chinese citizens from traveling to the U.S., but continued to downplay the threat.
We have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China.
He suggested it would go away by April, as lawmakers expressed fears the U.S. was unprepared.
I'm deeply concerned that we are way behind the 8 ball on this.
By late February, as coronavirus gripped states like Washington and California, lawmakers on Capitol Hill publicly questioned administration officials regarding whether enough resources had been stockpiled to deal with the crisis.
We do have in the Strategic National Stockpile ventilators, we have masks, we have...
Enough?
Well, of course not, or we wouldn't be asking for a supplemental to seek more money to procure more of that.
But by March, Trump widened travel restrictions to include some European countries. He also declared a national emergency in the U.S. Still, as coronavirus cases expanded, Trump continued to downplay the problem.
It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
He accused his Democratic opponents of weaponizing coronavirus for political purposes and harming his re-election chances.
And this is their new hoax.
Only as hundreds of new coronavirus cases emerged across the U.S. did the White House announce national social distancing guidelines. It prompted closures of most U.S. businesses overnight, causing millions of Americans to lose their jobs and obliterate the once booming U.S. economy. Looking for a scapegoat, Trump blamed China.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China.
And contradicting public health officials, Trump continued to project optimism, telling Americans he wanted businesses reopened by Easter. But as cases of coronavirus rose, Trump reluctantly expanded public health restrictions.
We will be extending our guidelines to April 30th to slow the spread.
President Trump has justified the mixed messages from his coronavirus task force, arguing he's the country's cheerleader, providing hope to Americans in a difficult time. But one analyst argues with the November presidential election on the horizon, Trump's response is driven by his desire to win a second term.
As you know, the saying goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. This is a president who has used at every opportunity this crisis to attempt to solidify himself, solidify his base, and solidify his reelection.
We appreciate it very much.
Trump continues to praise White House response efforts, giving himself a 10 out of 10, even as critics accuse him of failing to respond swiftly to save thousands of lives. Kimberly Halkett, Al Jazeera, Washington.